This summer's preseason might in fact be the most important preseason we're set to see in recent memory, and it simply comes down to this fact. Since the new ownership has taken over the football club, the project has still not taken off yet. Next season, we must guarantee Champions League football without fail, otherwise there are set to be consequences. And this summer, we have rested all our hopes, beliefs and expectations in Enzo Maresca and his positional play management. With the stakes so high already for next season, I'm here to let you know the 5 key targets Maresca must meet in this summer's preseason. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, get involved in the conversation, and let's get straight into things. For the first key target, Maresca must foster team spirit again. Now we all know the situation after Enzo Fernandez's irresponsible and stupid promotion of a racist song. Naturally, the French-speaking players in the squad have taken great offense by Enzo's actions. Many have already unfollowed him on social media. The situation is tense at the moment. There are small fractures within the squad, and right now the pressure is on Enzo Maresca because there is now a big opportunity for Maresca to stake his claim as our new manager by dealing with this very delicate situation within the squad. Now, in my opinion, the squad comes over any individual. However, the individual in particular, in Enzo Fernandez, is key to the club's long-term plans and is key to Maresca's tactical plans as well too. So if he handles this right and reconnects the squad, this will make the players value Maresca, respect him even more, and want to play and manage for him. This could be incredibly key for us next season when it comes to meeting and getting those season objectives. But on the other hand, if Maresca gets this wrong, if he's insensitive, he could further cause more fractions within the squad, and maybe it could get to a point where maybe nothing can be repaired. Being a manager isn't just about setting up tactics and doing training sessions, it's about managing the state of your squad, and this is a big opportunity for Maresca to stake his claim now, reunite the team, and get this team fighting and working under him. For the second key thing, figuring out how to use Christopher Nkunku is going to be key this preseason, because arguably, the player who would have made the biggest difference for us last season was a player we didn't have the fortune of being able to utilize very often. With Christopher Nkunku's experience in front of goal, his match-winning ability, just his overall class playing in the final third, that could have been the added boost of quality the team needed last season that I think could have helped us secure that Champions League spot. Last season we saw the smallest glimpses of what Nkunku could offer. It took until the end of last season before we even saw his iconic balloon celebration. I'm hoping next season we see a lot more of that, but figuring out how to get the best out of Nkunku is going to be a challenge, because Nkunku is one of the most versatile world-class players in Europe right now. If you think of any position in midfield or in attack, Nkunku has played there, but most importantly, he's excelled in every single position. He's got goals and assists playing as a midfield player, as a 10, as an 8, down either flank, as a second striker, and even up front. So finding the optimum use of Nkunku can really help elevate this team next season, and most importantly, elevate Enzo Maresca's tactics. Now, could we see Nkunku start games playing down the left flank? That could make some sense. There is a situation here where Dewsbury Hall could make those drifting runs out wide to the left, allowing Nkunku to move infield when that happens. However, there's another argument that with a player of Nkunku's class in front of goal, surely you want this guy to be as close to goal as humanly possible, and could we potentially see Maresca use Nkunku now up front? Nkunku once said this same time last year after he scored against Wrexham that he enjoys the freedom that he gets to play with by playing up front. And if you follow the evolution of Nkunku's career, he started out playing in midfield before finding himself moving higher and higher up the field after every single season, and you think to yourself, could next season be the ultimate defining season for Nkunku to crown himself as our new number 9? Getting the best out of Nkunku could be that difference between securing success next season and failure, and personally, I want to see Christo and Palmer absolutely cook the league next season together, and I'm hoping that under Maresca, he finds the right system to do that. For the third key target, Maresca must find that defensive structure. Now, his Leicester City team were great overall defensively, and they ranked really high in their defensive actions. However, they were susceptible to certain actions. Those actions would include being susceptible to those direct attacks, out wide in the channels and down the flanks, and at times they were susceptible to giving away space in front of their defense, allowing for the opposition to take shots outside the box. And on quite a few occasions, especially in the second half of last season, they conceded too many wonder goals against them. Now, there's a very fair and big argument that suggests that Enzo was limited by the quality of player at his disposal, and if anything, most of the goals conceded were due to individual quality instead of the system being exploited or Maresca being tactically beaten. And now that he's coming here, he's set to work with a higher caliber of player, a defensive player that has pace, physicality, great aerially, but most importantly, can play on the ball, can play those line-breaking passes, and can kickstart attacks from deep. With Enzo Maresca's use of a 3+2 structure, this structure helps mitigate the opposition's counterattacks, with the two ahead in the pivot protecting their defenders and slowing down potential counterattacks, and the back three behind being the last line of defense that will help mitigate those counterattacking opportunities, sweep up the danger, and shut down teams. But if you want to have a great defensive structure, you need to have a great pressing structure. Last season at Leicester City, Vardy would spearhead the press, but he would be supported by Kieran Dewsbury on the left and Ndidi on the right hand side. One of the most surprising decisions tactically last season was Maresca deciding to move Ndidi further up the field to help kickstart those pressing triggers. And basically, you want to force the opposition into passing the ball one way so you can win the ball back as quickly as possible. It's why Gallagher was so important to Pochettino last season, and he would step up alongside Nico Jackson to help kickstart the press. The thing is though, we will have to see how Maresca is set to create this pressing structure with the use of this squad, because he'll be blessed with so much talent at his disposal. Fofana, Caicedo, Cole, Badiashile, Gallagher, Lavia, Kieran Dewsbury or Santos, like the list doesn't stop. So learning how to balance the use of this squad is going to be so key for us, as you can't defend in the modern game without having that pressing structure in front. So that will be a key thing to follow this preseason. But the fourth key thing, Maresca must decide who is set to invert in the team for next season. Now, one of the pressing needs that Maresca needs in his system is the use for a Swiss Army knife team, which basically means that his tactical principles are all about creating overloads against the opposition. But to do this, it does require funneling the opposition's pressing shape. To do this, you'll play the ball backwards to try and stretch the opposition's shape vertically. You'll move the ball side to side very quickly to stretch them horizontally, and by constantly turning to these passing patterns of play, eventually you're set to create these fractures and weaknesses in the opposition's shape. And once those fractures are open, it's up to our players to have the confidence and ability to know when to time the overloads. And when that happens, it's down to our players to have the quality and understanding of this system to know when to create those overloads and that numerical superiority against the opposition. So that could mean that maybe a defender might have to step up alongside the midfield to give us an extra man to help play through. And this is why Maresca likes to have that Swiss Army knife team, a squad full of players that are comfortable playing in different zones and areas across the field. And one of the most important dynamics for Maresca is the use of an inverted style fullback in his team. An inverted fullback in your system allows you to commit another man forwards against the opposition, whilst also having the added protection behind you to help create that pivot in midfield to mitigate any counterattacks against you. The question now is though, who is set to play in this inverted role? Now, on one hand, it's easy to follow what Ricardo Pereira did at Leicester last season and think to yourself, Reece James, Malo Gusto, they are tailor-made for an inverted style role. Both players in their youth days played so many games in midfield, they're very comfortable on the ball, they're great at progressing the play, and they're comfortable under pressure. However, would our team miss out on having their wide threat down the flanks, because they've shown that they are some of the best offensive fullbacks in the league already? On the other hand, down at left hand side, we now have Cucurella, who's shown that he can play this role. We have Ben, and we have new signing in Renato Vega, who was specifically signed to play as the inverted style player in that back three. But could Maresca think to himself, well, actually, in fact, the player quality down the right hand side is superior to the options I have down that left hand side. It's a very tricky situation when most of your squad can fulfill this tactical duty. The question is, who the hell do you actually turn to? I think Maresca is set to rotate these options in preseason. However, another question I have to myself is, why can Maresca not do both? Think about it like this. In one game state, we see the right back inverting in midfield, allowing the left back on the opposite sides to get forward in the final third, and then vice versa, where the left back inverts, allowing Reece or Gusto to support the play down that right hand side. This could potentially make us stronger, more cohesive, and more unpredictable when it comes to playing out and attacking teams. So let's see what Enzo has in store for his inverted fullbacks this preseason. The final key thing, Maresca must decide our attack in preseason. One of the biggest areas we will judge Maresca is how he utilizes the profiles in attack. When you have options like Palmer, Nkunku, Nico, Broja, Mudryk, Madueke, Sterling, and so many more, finding that attacking balance is key now. With the introduction of Maresca's use of offensive eights in the team, there's now technically less space for an attacking player in the system. At Leicester last season, Maresca liked to have two direct wingers pinning fullbacks down either flank. You can go 1v1 and also had goal threat. This then allowed the use of those attacking eights in the middle to help support the striker. But would a system like this technically work if you have Cole Palmer and Nkunku playing on the right flank and the left flank when they're too far away from goal, when a lot of their best work actually comes from playing closer and more central? But maybe Maresca thinks to himself, are the wingers at my disposal good enough to satisfy my system? We're set to learn so much this preseason, but considering that Maresca likes to have pacey wingers down either flank for the positional play system to work, I feel like we'll see some surprises. But we can look at some evidence from Maresca's playing time. You're looking at Cole Palmer. Now, during their times together at Man City's academy, Palmer played a lot of games evenly as an offensive 8, a 10, and down the right flank as well. But a lot of times you would see Lavia holding the midfield, and he'd be supported by McAtee on the left and Palmer down that right hand side to form that midfield three. On paper, my first option would be Nkunku and Palmer playing as those offensive eights. They would be the best ones with the best goal threat, the best imagination, but are they the best balanced defensively off the ball? Last season, for Palmer to play more centrally, it required Conor Gallagher playing in a pivot alongside Caicedo to allow us to use another attacking player in our team. Is Maresca going to do that when having that Regista style player in the base of his midfield is key? But to even use a player like that, you need to have those ball winners alongside him to make that defensive balance work. Finding a balance is going to be so key, but I think it's going to be even harder, and I'm expecting to see a lot of rotation from Maresca. I think we can't afford to see too much rotation because when our upcoming game for the new season is against Man City, it means that everything we do from right now, from yesterday, has to be in preparation to beat Man City and to take them on. Finding a lineup earlier on can allow for these guys to build their confidence, cohesion, and understanding with themselves, and most importantly, under Maresca's ideas and system too. So watching what he does with the offensive players will be a key determiner behind our success for next season. So my friends, they're the 5 key targets Maresca must meet this preseason if we hope to have a successful season, and if we hope to start the season on absolute fire. Share your thoughts and opinions. What are your 5 targets, Maresca? What 5 things do you want to see him do? Hope you guys enjoy. Hit that like button, and I'll see you all soon. Cool.